Next objective is solving equations that look like quadratic in form, but the powers are slightly different. An equation that is quadratic in form is one that can be expressed as a quadratic equation using an appropriate substitution. Equations that are quadratic in form contain an expression to a power, the same expression to that powered squared, and a constant term. Solve each equation by making an appropriate substitution. Notice that if I take the lowest power and set this variable with the lowest power equal to some variable, and if I decide to square both sides, we end up having x squared squared, which is x to the fourth, is going to be u squared. So in the example here, every time when I see x to the fourth, I'm going to put u squared instead. And every time when I see x squared, I'm going to put just a u. Now this problem looks very familiar and it's very easy to solve. We can use any methods. We can use quadratic equation, quadratic formula. We can use factoring. Here it's not hard to factor because negative 9 times negative 4 is positive 36, and negative 9 plus negative 4 is negative 13. So again we factored, and according to zero product property, u minus 9 needs to be 0, or u minus 4 it needs to be 0. Now what this means is that u is equal to 9 or u is equal to 4. So the quadratic equation turns out to have two solutions. But we are working with equation power by 4. We are expecting 4 solutions instead. And the reason comes from x squared is actually equal to 9. X squared is actually equal to 4. What does this mean is that x is equal to positive 3, x is equal to negative 3, x is equal to positive 2, x is equal to negative 2. We end up having 4 solutions. The next example, it's with rational exponents, but we don't worry about it. We look at what is the smallest one of them. Well, 2/3 is twice bigger than 1/3, so I'm gonna say x powered by 1/3 is my u. When squaring both sides, we end up having x powered by 1/3 squared is gonna be u squared. And again, based on property of exponents, in this case, that's x powered by 2/3. So for x powered by 2/3, I'm going to substitute u squared. And for x powered by 1/3, I'm going to substitute u. Negative 6 equals 0. Again, quadratic equation. Again, not hard to factor, so I'm going to use factoring. That's the same as u minus 3, u plus 2. Please, when you factor, make sure you check back to see if your factoring has been correctly. Negative 3u plus 2u is equal to negative u, which I was looking for, so I've been working correctly. So again, based on zero product property, u is equal to positive 3 or u is equal to negative 2, so 2 solutions. Now, x powered by 1/3 was equal to 3, and x powered by 1/3 was equal to negative 2. To solve for x, we're going to power both sides by the reciprocal of 1/3. which is 3. So we end up having x is equal to 3 to the third is 27, and here x is negative 2 to the third is negative 8. So we end up having two solutions, because m, if you think about it, m is equal to 2 even. So we end up having two solutions. Next example, and the last from this objective. Again, similar situation, u is equal to x power by 1/3, and u square is gonna be x power by 1/3 squared, which is x power by 2/3. We're gonna solve the problem. 7u square minus 55 u minus 8 equals 0. Now factoring this type of equations is more complicated, because we'll have to consider multiples of 7 and multiples of 8. So multiples of 8 is 1 times 8, 2 times 4, and of course they can be switched from the first to the second parentheses. So generally it's more challenging. So I suggest, and let us practice that for once, using the quadratic formula. So based on quadratic formula, I'll need to know what is a, what is b, and what is c, and then use u is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm gonna substitute here. U is equal to negative b, that's negative 55, plus or minus square root. Notice that when b square, I may disregard the negative sign because negative squared is positive, minus 4 times a, which is 7, and c, which is negative 8, all over 2 times 7. Now I'm gonna need some calculator here to be able to evaluate this expression correctly, and I have a calculator here to use. 55 square minus 4 times 7 times negative 8, and I want to square root that, and that's going to be 57, and 2 times 7 is 14. So I end up having solutions. U is equal to 55 plus 57 divided by 14. I wrote 17 here. And my first solution is going to be 8. And the second solution would be 55 minus 57, which is negative 2, divided by 14. And this simplifies to negative 1 over 7. But what this meant for my problem was that u is equal to that much. Now I need to know what is x power by 1/3. X power by 1/3 is equal to these numbers. Again, power both sides of each equation by 3. To find the value for x. x is 8 to the third. 8 cubed is equal to 512. So that's one of the solutions. And the other solution is going to be 1/7 power by 3. So 7 power by 3. It's negative 1/343. Two solutions. With this, I'm concluding this lesson.